Hi, this is Josh Marshall from TPM Media. It's Thursday, December 20th, 2007. We're coming right up on the Christmas and New Year's holiday, and then right after January 1st, like a slingshot, we're going to go through the Iowa caucus on January 3rd and then the New Hampshire primary on January 8th. And conceivably, depending on how things turn out, that could end one or both of the primary nomination campaigns by the end of the first week of January. So before everybody takes off for Christmas, we want to give you a quick lay of the land as we see it in both the Democratic and the Republican nomination campaigns. So first, the Republican race. The one clear truth about the Republican primary battle is that Republican voters don't like any of the candidates who are in the race. And you can see that pretty clearly if you look at this chart. This is a trend line chart put together by Professor Charles Franklin at pollster.com. And look at the different lines here. What you'll see is that in pretty quick succession, three of the one-time frontrunners in this race have basically seen their numbers collapse. Now, first, look at that orange line that starts kind of as a baseline back in 2005. That's John McCain, pretty much straight until the beginning of this year, beginning of 2007, and then it just collapses. Next up, look at that blue line that starts right at the beginning of 2007, goes up really fast, and then just collapses. That's Fred Thompson, of course. And most recently, the purple line, that is Rudy Giuliani, going along pretty well, gets up as high as 35%, and then falls quickly, stabilizes, and then just goes into complete collapse. And what you can see pretty clearly right now is Rudy Giuliani, for the first time in this race, no longer has the lead in the national numbers. Now, what we told you a few weeks ago is the candidate who's really consistently building strength across the board was Mitt Romney. And he's still kind of doing that, but he's had a few rough weeks. Obviously, the candidate who's really on fire right now is Mike Huckabee. Now, let's go back to a second to that national poll trend line chart put together by Professor Charles Franklin. You see the green line there skyrocketing at the bottom. That's Mike Huckabee. And as you can see, the most recent thing is that Huckabee has caught Rudy Giuliani, and he's just on fire. He's going up pretty much across the board, almost everywhere but New Hampshire. But there's a problem. A lot of people, and I would put myself in this category, just don't think Mike Huckabee can win this nomination. Now, if you look at I've told you before about there are a few political betting sites where people put money on what they think is going to happen in this race. Now, here's another chart. This is from the InTrade betting site, and it shows the rapid rise of Mike Huckabee's numbers, and then it just kind of hits a ceiling there about 2 weeks ago at about 20%, and then just falls down from then. People aren't convinced that Mike Huckabee can win this race, even though he's doing great in the polls across the board. I think they're right. The problem is he's just got too many skeletons in his closet, particularly something like this instance where he pushed for the release of a serial rapist who subsequently went on and raped and killed another woman. That's always bad politics. Stuff like that, other miscellaneous things, he's kind of unprepared. And then the guy just has a lot of really weird beliefs. Some on the religious front, some on the economics front, all across the board. I just don't think it's going to happen for Mike Huckabee. So where does that leave us? So does that mean the Republicans just aren't going to nominate anybody because all of their candidates are so terrible? We could only hope. But obviously they are going to nominate someone. And I think when you look at all these numbers and you crunch everything together, the one thing that comes out, who is the most likely person to still be the Republican nominee? Mitt Romney. So Mitt Romney, obviously, he's in a lot of danger in Iowa. He's a terrible phony, a repeated flip-flopper. But the bottom line is, because he didn't have a mistress slush fund, he doesn't hang around with mafiosos, and he didn't get a serial rapist out of jail because a bunch of anti-Clinton whack jobs convinced him that the guy was a victim of the system, you have to assume Mitt Romney is still the one to beat in the Republican nomination battle. All right, we're going to take a quick break, and then we'll give you the lowdown on the Democrats. We'll actually get an official read all about it in his highly publicized personal whitewash came back, said when they were members of the group, the Singing Senators. Okay, we're back. So on to the Democrats. Now, I wish I had as clear an argument for you on the Democrats as I do on the Republicans. Obviously, Hillary Clinton has had a bad month or so. Barack Obama has been coming on strong in the polls pretty much everywhere. I've always thought that Hillary's chances were overrated in this race. I think she's still the favorite, that's obvious, but she was never such a prohibitive favorite as people were saying maybe 2 months ago. So what's going to happen in the Democratic nomination race? Your guess is really as good as mine. I don't know. I would watch the polls. I would say that at this point, Clinton is still the favorite, still the clear favorite, but by no means a prohibitive favorite. Barack Obama can definitely win this thing. The one thing I would point out about this race is, and this has to do with Hillary Clinton's underlying strengths and reserves of power, the power base that she has around the country. Hillary Clinton can end this campaign by January 8th. If she can win Iowa, which is by no means a certainty at this point, if she wins Iowa and then wins New Hampshire, Barack Obama's over. They'll keep on for a few weeks, probably even to February 5th, but that's going to be the end of the race for Barack Obama. On the other hand, if Hillary loses Iowa and then loses New Hampshire, that'll obviously be devastating. And at that point, Barack Obama would be the favorite. But Hillary Clinton is not going to be anywhere near as easy to put out of this race as Barack Obama will be for her. If Obama wins Iowa, wins New Hampshire, this thing will still be hard fought and still up in the air at least till February 5th and perhaps beyond. Hillary Clinton can definitely be defeated, but she's not going to, her base of support in the key states and around the country is not simply going to collapse because Barack Obama hands her a couple decisive defeats in the first couple races. So that's how we see it. If you have your own comments, we'd love to hear them. Send them to the email address just below. I'm Josh Marshall from TPM Media, and we'll talk to you next week.